Alright, so I had to go out of town for some family business and I've been gone for a week. So I just got home late today and did all my chicken chores, and looked like my truck blew up around here. I didn't get a chance to pick up any of my tools or anything. I just threw some clothes in a bag and took off. So like I said, I just got back. So what I'm gonna do now is pick up where I left off and do as much as I can before it gets dark on me. But pretty much the plan is to get this steering box off this truck and get these big block springs out of here and get them cleaned up so we can paint them, and then we'll be ready to reassemble on the chassis we've got painted up. So that's kind of what I'm gonna try to do as quick as I can. I've already got the wheel off this side and the cotter pin off this tie rod here. So get a couple more cotter pins off this side and some nuts, and we'll go from there. Oh, I need to get the sway bar off too. Get the sway bar off and get it cleaned up. So we'll work on getting all that and see how it goes. Alright, so we got the big block spring out. We got a small block spring that I had laying around here back in there because I want to put the lowering spring back in there. We got the bottom ball joint hooked back up, and all we got to do is jack it up and get the upper ball joint back in. So we got to keep this thing a roller until we get the cab up off of it. And probably would like to keep it a roller even after that, but so we're gonna see what we can do about getting this thing hooked back up. So hang on. Alright, so we got the spring back in there and the ball joint's tied back up. Got the tie rod in back on. We've got this side of the sway bar linkage loose. So we'll go get the other spring out. Then we'll break the steering box here at the pitman arm. The pitman arm in the center link. We'll break it loose. We'll pull the bolt out this rag joint here, and then the 4 bolts holds the box onto the frame, and we'll pull the box off, and then we'll have it off and be able to get it cleaned up. So we'll get over here to this other spring and get started on it. Try to get it off before it gets dark on us. Alright, so I can't hardly believe this myself, but this rim is rusted on this brake rotor, so we got it soaking. Trying to get it maybe loosen up a little bit. We've tried the big hammer on it and that didn't do any good. So while we're waiting on it to soak, we've come back around here and we've broke the pitman arm loose from the center link. So we'll go ahead and take this bolt out this rag joint here, and then we'll take the bolts out the steering box and pull it off while we're waiting. So alright, so we got the steering box off now. So we'll get this cleaned up and get the pitman arm off of it, because we already got the new pitman arm painted right here. So it's ready to go on. So we'll clean the box up and paint it, and then we'll put that steering arm, pitman arm on. We still have to get this side of the sway bar undone. Side of the sway bar undone and get the spring out. We got to get the wheel off before we can do that, and it's been a pain. So we'll see what we can do about getting that off. Alright, so we'll take the steering box that we took off of our frame and we'll put it back on here so it will still have a roller that steers. And then we'll get the other spring out and get all that cleaned up and have it ready to paint. So it's been kind of a long day and it's getting dark real fast. So I think we're going to call it. Alright, so we got our steering box here that we took off of our frame, and we'll put it back on this truck. And you're probably asking why I'm doing this, and I don't know. I don't know anything about this steering box, but I know that this truck right here has just over 100,000 miles on it. So that's kind of what my thinking was on this, swapping these steering boxes out. And I could be totally off base, but that's why I was doing it. So that's what we got going on. So we'll cram this thing in there and go from there. And I think I might go ahead and take the inner fender out of this thing while I'm at it, because it's going to have to come out anyway. And if I go ahead and take it out now, then I can stick the steering box in there without breaking those lines loose. So I think I'll do that now, or probably in the morning. I'm going to quit now. So that's what I'll do in the morning. I'll pull this inner fender out. I'll put the steering box back on. We've got this hub soaking, so maybe we'll see how that goes in the morning. If it don't act right, might have to put some heat on it. So we'll see how that goes. And then, like I said, we got the cross member painted, the rear trailing arms, all the front suspension, the motor mount saddles, the drive shaft center support bracket, the fan pulleys. We've got the frame painted. We've got the upper and lower front control arms painted. So we're ready to start putting this thing together. We're pretty close to it. Like I said, a few things that we need to paint. Got the rear end housing painted. So I know on the rear suspension, I've got everything to put the rear suspension together with. And I have all the brakes for the rear. So if I can get the steering box, these springs, and that sway bar painted tomorrow, then they can be drying and I'll work on the rear suspension. And then we'll be ready when that stuff dries. We can assemble the majority of the front suspension except for the spring. Well, we can put the ball joints. We can put the ball joints in the A-frames and put the bushings in the A-frames, and then have it ready for when the springs dry. The springs and the sway bars. So that's the plan for tomorrow. Get the inner fender out of this, get the steering box back on, get this wheel off, get the other spring out, get the sway bar off, and get them cleaned and painted. And then we'll move on to assembling the rear suspension and the front suspension and all that. So y'all stay tuned and I'll show you more. I appreciate it.